And welcome back to the Hot Lap. And are you a hardcore F1 fan that's been around from the 90s watching those screaming V10's? Well, then this is the video for you. Bring back V10's. Yes, also named after one of my favourite podcasts from the race. But we are talking about bringing back arguably one of the best eras in Formula 1 and asking, is it ever possible? Now we know the rules are set in stone, 2026, but new rules potentially from 2030. And there's quite a few interesting takes on it. We'll be playing a video from David Coulthard and Eddie Jordan from their podcast. Really interesting clip. And even Richard Hammond has something quite interesting to say on the possibilities and keeping it all very sustainable. So here we go. So what am I talking about? Why are we so excited about V10's? Well, let me tell you. Okay, this is V6's, V8's, V10's and V12's. But before we get into that, quick little history lesson though. So what are we talking about V10's? Well, V10's are kind of like, they are the engines that were around since, I want to say like 1989. And there was a rule set from 89 to 94 that allowed V10's and V12's. The V12's most synonymous, for example, with the Ferrari. I think they were the last car to have a V12 engine. Now the V10 era is from 1995 to 2005, and at the end of 2005 we went to V8s, which still sound very good. I wouldn't mind if we went to the V8s. Very nice they were indeed, from 2006 to 2030, and incidentally all Vettel's titles won with V8s. Interestingly, Schumacher's title, his first one, 1994 V8s. It wasn't exclusive, but most of them were V10s. And then obviously from 2014 onwards we've got the horrible hybrids, as I'd like to say. But let's listen to the differences, shall we? Oh. V6, V8. Here we go. That's a V10. And then there's your V12. There is your V12 from the Ferrari. I mean, let's listen to them on board. Here's the V6. Nah. Let's be honest, not that exciting really. These are all Ferraris, incidentally, for listening on the audio. So here's the V8 from 2006. You can just hear the high pitch, you can hear it, it just sounds amazing. Here we go. That's the V10's. Oh. Amazing sound. Amazing. Come on. You have to love that sound. The screamer. The V12. Ferrari screamer. Wow. Okay, I mean, let's be fair. They all sound absolutely amazing. I've been to see Formula 1. I've been to Silverstone, it must be nearly 10 times now. So I've seen the V10 era in 2000 and and what I want to say is, on that first lap, you can feel the cars. It's like the noise, either for the V8s and the V10, the noise goes through your body when the cars are coming up. You feel them as well as hear them when they come towards you. The ground vibrates, whether you're wearing trainers, sandals, boots, you can still feel them through your feet when there's that many there. When you've got 20 plus screaming Formula 1 cars going past you, it's an absolutely amazing thing. And this is the article that kind of spawned it. Opinion. This is written this year on the Goodwood.com. Ethan Jupp. And he's talking about why F1 can and should bring back V10s for 2030. And hey, at the moment, I think I completely agree, as I feel do a lot of people. And he talks about the last opinion I wrote, let's just zoom in as much as we can so you can read it along with me. But he said, the last opinion I wrote will have yielded more than a few calls for my dismissal, deportation and execution. I stand by my stance that modern F1 V6 sounds more interesting than the screaming V8s they've replaced. Wrong. But everyone's entitled to an opinion, right? But the V10's not even remotely, though, in any way whatsoever. As the title will have revealed, I happen to think V10's, or at least multi-cylinder, naturally aspirated, none of this fancy hybrid making the cars heavier shtick. Naturally aspirated are a format of F1 that not should only we should go back to, but both superficially for the sake of the sound and the fans. But he's talking about technically as well, and in relation to innovation. He said that such a move could even be possible has only become apparent following comments from the Stefano Domenicali. He said, if we can be effective in the study and production of sustainable fuel, we will be able to think about the next generation of power units focusing on lightness. And that lightness is really, really, really important. I mean, the V10 cars are a lot smaller than these really big boat-like V8s are. I mean, it's just... at Monaco, probably you'd possibly see the difference at tracks like Monaco. They're just so big and sluggish over the course of the years. It's just not good at all. I'm going to try and find car size differences and see if I can actually come up with with an interesting picture. Probably not. But the cars were massively different. But between 2004, for example, and 2006, it's absolutely crazy. So he goes, we want a competitive engine with many horsepower and also a great sound. And 99% of people want to hear that Formula One sound on again and that track again. So it's something that we put on the table. Today, we are in the transmission phase, he says, where these large manufacturers need to develop hybrid and electric technology since they are part of this sales portfolio. But I believe if we do a good job with sustainable fuels, we will be able to have these simplified engines in a few years with a lower impact on weight. And I think that's something that I'm personally very excited about. For example, if you listen to what David Coulter has to say, which I thought was quite interesting.
So let's get into it. So here's some potential ideas. And the first one being exactly that, bring back the V8 or the V10 engines. The benefit, of course, would be unbelievable sound.
Absolutely.
And that really had resonated with the fans.
My God, when you were at a race.
Now here, this is Eddie Jordan, says exactly what I said, what I was saying about the feel of these cars, which I think is which I think is amazing.
And let's say you were at Silverstone. And even if you were not inside the grid and you were outside and you were on the grandstand, and the race started, and those V10's, I can promise you, the ground shuddered. It absolutely moved underneath you. Such was the element of the power transmitted to the noise, to the sound, to the surface. It just absolutely went through your body. It did. It was sex on wheels, and that's what motor racing was for me, and that's what I enjoyed so much. We're too cowardly. We're too cowardly. Will we ever get back to the V10s? Probably not.
I mean, I think Jordan's right. Realistically, no, but I do think there is a way we could get back to the V10s. I don't think we can completely rule it out. Now, in relation to getting back to these. In relation to getting back to these V10s, as I was trying to look, I'm just trying to look for the video I sent. There we go. Now, in relation to getting back to the V10s, Richard Hammond had something really interesting to say. But I know what you guys are. Some of you guys are thinking. It's going to be. It's like, oh my gosh, what about the manufacturers? They want their hybrids. They want their electric cars. But let's be fair. Electric cars are not selling as much as the manufacturers want. That's kind of like. That's a fact. When you look at the numbers, they are not selling. You had the initial upturn where you had a lot of massive companies buying their fleets, etc. Really, we want to be a sustainable business. But then, no, they weren't selling. Then after that, they were not selling as much. And a lot of people are suggesting even if you go far forward, even maybe 2050, there could still be an issue with these electric cars. They are big, they are heavy, they are expensive at the moment. Now, in terms of to get the minerals and resources for the actual batteries, it's a bit difficult. Plus, the batteries are massive. What do you do with them? And how sustainable is it really? But this is what Richard Hammond says in relation to the fuel, which I think is really, really interesting. Sustainable fuel and why manufacturers may well be almost kicking in reverse to go forwards, so to speak. So listen to what Richard Hammond says.
We're not getting the full story. Yes, electric vehicles have a part to play, of course they do, but I don't think it can be 100% electric for a very long time. But there's plenty of options that we never hear about. There's 1.6 billion cars currently on the road, all of which can run on synthetic fuels. The German government recently pushed Europe into saying, oh, okay, you can carry on making internal combustion engines until 2035, but only if they can run on synthetic fuel. That's every car in production and every car ever made. Without any changes to the current infrastructure. It can be distributed in the same tankers, the same gas stations, and used in the same cars without any modification, and has to be if we're going to achieve net zero.
Completely agree. He talks absolute sense in relation to the future of Formula One. And if you want to make it relevant to cars, there you go. I mean, there you go. Thank you very much. Hopefully the engine is still here to stay. Electric may well just be a phase. But yeah, and we still love F1. Let's be fair. Let me know what you think. Comment below and let me know. Or let us know what you think about whether F1 should go back to V10's. And how realistic you think it is. I think if there's a will, there's a way. If there's a will, they can bring back V10's without a shadow of a doubt. Absolutely. When we go back to the article, it talks about Domenicali as a vested interest in fans enjoying the series, but what technically, other than the ability to run such engines, clearly could motivate such a move. Once again, I take you back to what Mr. Hammond says. Full electrification isn't seemingly turning out to be the solve all it was it was forced on us. Yeah, it speaks sense. Their expense, weight, range, and general issues around practicality and true environmental efficiency in all areas beyond the elimination of tailpipe emissions is still largely unreconciled. Completely agree. Now more than ever, a new era for internal combustion looks possible on the road, and as we know, as F1 insists, road relevance is key to the sport. It will take a brave mover to go away, because a lot of people think, oh no, we're going back to engines, that's really, really bad. It's bad. No, it's not. Indeed, the downsizing of all burners has been ongoing for the past 15 years on the road, and actually the past 30 years in F1. We dropped from 3.5 litre to 3 litres down to 2.4 before the 1.6 turbo hybrid era. But downsizing, and especially turbocharging, aren't where the most exciting innovations lay, he said. We have high electric, high RPM turbochargers in production cars now that were born out of the last decades of racing innovation. And as for their continued use in F1, and he's talking about forced induction with the need for intercoolers to elaborate the plumbing and the like, is heavy and bulky. As we've seen with these cars, there's a massive difference between those Formula 1 cars and the slightly, these Formula 1 cars and the ones from 2006, for example. Domenicali said excess weight and size are high-ranking undesirables in F1 at the moment. Completely agree. So he talks about Cosworth's advancements in these areas have led to a road car V12 that both passes global emissions and has a warranty while revving to 12,100 RPM. Stat for stat, that's not quite off, obviously, Essence Standard Honda's V12, he says, from 1991. And in sound too, given it had a direct comparison of both, so I just think it's really, really interesting. I won't go into the whole article. The link is in the description, though. I implore you to read it. Really, really good stuff. Once again, if you made it to the end, please give us a subscribe. Even if you just simply clicked on this video, it means so much. Even your view is more than enough for me. But if you want to help a bit extra, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you don't miss a video. Indeed, if you want to watch more videos. And thank you so much. Comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are on F1. Maybe, could be, we wish, go back to V10's. But as I said, it could happen. If there's a will, there's a way. Thank you very much.